The new version of Fusion is out. What is different? Minor, small improvement. We go to the preferences, default mouse control. We can set it like Alias. So for zoom, etc., all that we can set. Well, that was a minor feature. What's the most important feature? Drums, and ta-da! Under patch, now we have all the surfacing tools we need. Extrude, revolve, sweep, loft. Patch we already had. Now we have also offset. So inside the design timeline, we can also simply work with sketches and drive surfaces. We have the full set of trim, stitch, extend commands now. So we can basically now use the timeline in Fusion like a surface modeler. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm using this model here to demonstrate how I would reverse engineer it. So you see, for example, how from the top this is flat. I would like that to arc a little bit because here at the side it's slightly arced. That's really nice. But I would like simply to continue it up there. So inside my timeline, I'm going to delete all those points. So I'm simply ending up with this basic part here. Okay, so what I can do now is simply first, I would like to create myself the sketches for this model. So I'm going to create a sketch on the sketch plane, and then I go to 3D include those two lines, escape, and then there you see those lines, and actually I click them and say break link, so I do not make them interactively driven by the geometry, but really bake them into the sketch. Perfect. So let's call this one sketch center. Well, it's inside sketch, so I don't have to write sketch. Let's say center profile. Okay. Let's take a look at the outside, and we will actually have a problem here. But first, let's create an offset plane. So from here, I know that's 12 units, I think. Yep. So on the sketch, let's create, on that plane, let's create a sketch. And let's click this 3D include again, and we will see it works, but it's not really what I need. So you see these lines actually follow perfectly the geometry of my model. So those sketches are basically three-dimensional sketches for snapping. But that's not what I need. I want flat sketches. So I can, for example, select project and say, please project those lines into my sketch. And there you see the difference. Here's my sketch, and here's my model. So like a projector, the geometry is in a parallel way projected onto my sketch plane. But there's also another problem. You see this point simply got moved perpendicular to the sketch plane, but the surface kind of arcs. So if later I want to cut something, I need to have a sketch here so I could create this nice arc. So this approach also doesn't work. Okay, no problem. So what else can we do? Well, what I simply need is actually, I need to extend the surface. So in my timeline, I go a little bit backwards, simply delete this face. And now what do I do? I go to extend there, because when I delete those faces, then I can extend actually those edges out. And for example, extend this maybe 5 millimeters. I think that might be enough. Let's take a look. Yeah, so here's my construction plane, so that's all good. Perfect. So with this plane which I created, I'm going to push this one back to here at the beginning, simply because then I'm trying to restructure my design a little bit. I'm going to split actually those faces along this offset construction plane. There you can see actually how it's and where it's going to split it, and it's a plane or planar. So yeah, split. Perfect. Okay. Now when I go back to this original sketch, then actually nicely I can say simply 3D include those flat edges, hide this body, click, click, and say break line, stop sketch. And there you can see that this sketch from a side is straight. So let's call this one maybe outside master. Now to make a loft, I might need a third surface, because currently the problem would be, in case I would loft actually this thing together, you see it's a linear transition, but the original design is actually curved, so it doesn't really describe it correctly. So this thing doesn't work. So what I'm going to do now is make another offset from the center, but -12. And then I create a new sketch on this newly created plane. Show me master outside. And then please project this into the sketch. So as you can see now, I have left and right. So for example, outside mirror, okay, center, and now actually I can easily go ahead, click loft and say you, loft to you, loft to you, okay, and take a look at what we have. Works pretty much the same way, like the skin command in Alias. So in the next step, I have to rebuild somewhat actually my kind of like the face. So let's see how I'm going to do this. I think actually all those commands I have here should, I think, be able to delete. Let's see. Zip, zip, and zip. Because I broke the link for all those sketches. They're not connected or associated to this 3D geometry anymore. And I can bring this simply back and have my original design. So you see, pretty nice feature. And you see actually the way how I rebuilt this in Fusion pretty much is exactly the same way how it was created in Alias. Later the surface was created and trims everything. So that's going to be now my next step. So the way how I can do this, I create a sketch on top and on the bottom, design it accordingly, and then loft it. Maybe I need a sketch in the center as well. So maybe all this I group for the moment and simply rename this one body. Okay. Now I can have 3 lines and then loft it, or I could have a sketch and they're vertical and loft them. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to break these 3 sketches into different, or these 3 curves into 3 separate sketches, I actually simply create myself a 3-dimensional sketch and then skin those elements together. So on this plane, I'm going to create myself a sketch. And for example, let's zoom in a little bit. And then, let's see, I would like this only to taper just a little bit. So where would be the midpoint here? There, okay, good. And now let's insert a fit point. Yeah, okay, good. And this point maybe move to there. This point. So now I have to actually be a little bit more precise. I was just working on the top part, so well, that doesn't work this way. This one I delete. Okay. So that's maybe at the top. And as I said, I would like those to arc a little bit. So now I try. I want to turn off the grid actually. Snap to grid. No. This constraint turn off. Okay, let's push this one out and then. Oh. Okay, don't snap to anything right now, please. Okay, then I simply move the line here. So you have to be, as you can see, really careful right now with the way how you move the handles. So let's go to the move tool. This might be a little bit easier. Yeah, I see. There. Okay. Let's do the same there. And I'm just pushing out this arc slightly. Okay, let's take a look how this one arcs. Now let's say that is what we want. So copy and paste. And then I move this one accordingly up. Maybe till there. Okay. Let's hope Robert has good news about the laser cutter. Let's move it down. And here I move it kind of like back to where it seems like where he is cutting it. Okay. Perfect. So then stop. And now those 3 splines I created, I'm going to loft. So number 1, 2, and there is 3. Okay, let's take a look if and how I'm hitting the original design. Not very close. That is also fine because those lines I created are slightly somewhere else. I'm going now into the sketch, and for example this one I can move a little bit. Now keep in mind this is now arced, so I cannot even really rebuild exactly the same line he had, simply because, well, it's arcing. So there, let's take a look. And yeah, so far it completely cuts through the body. Maybe down here, the sketch I could move a little bit. So let's see if I can select the sketch and then adjust it a little bit. You see that's a really nice thing once you place your sketch lines, make the sketch visible, and then we can reposition them a little bit. Okay, perfect. Let's say this is sides. Great. No, that's fantastic. Now this surface, actually, I'm going to simply mirror over along the center. This body. Okay. Now there we have all our stuff. Hide all the sketches. And then we are going to do a boundary fill. Oh. And Fusion crashed. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so here I'm back. Just FYI, in case Fusion crashes and you go to your notifications, for example, here are all the notifications on the Mac side. Simply click it and it does it. On the Windows side, you will get a pop-up. So again, let's redo the mirror one. So I'm going to click body, select my body, the plane, select this plane, okay. And there we are. Now it crashed before. I want to see if maybe there was a particular reason for it, but it's not actually penetrating it correctly. That was my fault. Okay. That means maybe this second sketch I simply have to move in a little bit. This one here. Okay. Move. Just, let's see, millimeter might be a lot. Yeah, but there we can see what it actually did. You see nicely also this sketch drives the surface and then the mirror drives the surface. Pretty nice. So let's go back. What value is that? Positive. So maybe simply 0.5 millimeters. Let's see. Yeah, everything cuts. Okay, this time this should be good. Let's select it. Oh, wait. I see. It actually includes also this old import body. Of course, that one we don't want. Because here are my created bodies. So all this I select. Boundary fill. And whoa, one part is missing. What's that? Okay. Okay, let's delete this. Oh, I see. There's another problem down here. So let's check. Yeah. Okay, cancel. It's not really a big problem. Let's see. Okay. Okay, in this case, I'm going simply into my edit mode. Show me those sketches. Select all these points, right click, move, and just move them away 4 millimeter. Yeah, that should be the correct area. Okay, stop sketch, and let's see. Yeah, works now. Okay, perfect. So then let's do our boundary fill again. There we see all the cells we want. Select all these cells. Okay. And again, what the boundary fill basically is doing, it is, well, just stitching all that stuff together. But in interesting ways. if I can say that. What happened here? Oh, this one line actually got ignored. Oh, that's interesting. So let's take a look at what the problem here is. Everything looks fine to me, to be quite honest. Let's delete this boundary fill for a second. Um, hmm. So let's troubleshoot this one. So this is my trim tool, and I should be able to cut this whole part off. Let's do another trim this tool, cut all this off. Okay. Trim tool U. Okay. Cut this one and cut this one off. Okay. So that works as well. So that's interesting. So essentially, my surfaces are good. Now, if the trim tool works, then the boundary fill should not. If the trim tool works, then the boundary fill has to work. So now, because of this, let's actually go back in the timeline and let's try to see if we can't do this one more time. So let's make sure only surfaces we really want are selected. Okay. Oh, look at this. Let's see. How does this one work? Ah, much better. So that's interesting. Because now, as you can see, I just got one cell. So if I drag over everything, I get all those cells. Okay, so I guess then, oh, see, there's this additional cell, and there are some additional cells. So it includes that. Okay, so it's really important, as you can see, how actually you click on those surfaces, and then select your cell, and you're done. So basically, as you can see, that's the same result with one command as doing 3 stitches, 3 trims, and then a stitch. Okay, so that means probably the stuff we don't need, so we can delete it. Also, let's actually maybe group this. So that was body, and oh, not stop sketch. I wanted to simply rename this one. Body solid. And now I'm actually, to help myself prevent getting confused, I'm going to delete a lot of files. Because all the stuff now in my timeline I do not need anymore. I just only want to work with this part. So all this I can group. The nice thing again is I deleted in the timeline, so these parts are not really removed out of my model or permanently deleted. I just, in time-wise, deleted them, so they're kind of invisible. Okay, so let's see actually how everything looks. Let's plug onto a zebra. Yeah, and let's see if we have a horizontal repeats, many repeats. Okay, and yeah, well, I'm just trying to see how well maybe the sides arc from a top view. So let's show me my sketch. Maybe here, this one I call simply sides, and maybe I want that to be a little bit more drastic. So How do I do this? Okay, let's maybe click this one. So there I have all my handles. That's the top line. So I have to be careful that if I change my handles, I do not pull the surface out. So let's see how far, for example, I could arc this there. Let's click on this point and move this one back in. Okay, good. And I'm going to do the same down here with this point. Let's move this handle a little bit, not as radical. There. Okay. Maybe that should do it. Click on Stop Sketch. And, failed. Something didn't work here. Okay, for the boundary fill. The boundary fill has some problems. Okay, let's go back to here. Probably because I adjusted the curves, maybe the surfaces don't perfectly intersect anymore. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to this sketch, and I assume maybe these 2 points I select and move, and maybe, oh, don't do it that way, simply please do it this way, but just minus 0.5. Okay, stop sketch. Let's see. Yeah, better. Okay, let's take a look if the boundary can do it. Doesn't complain, so everything is fine. Let's take a look. Yeah, and you see, for example, how it arcs a little bit more. Okay, so you see that's the way how you could then adjust the curves and play with them a little bit. So it's actually really nice. Now I built the curves in a way that, for example, they go straight down. I could also maybe have built the surface so it's more following the kind of like the direction instead of going up and down. Or maybe this one I could have rotated so I arc it like at a curve. Different ways. Okay. At this point now, we want actually to do some final touch-ups. This edge is pretty big, so maybe 17. And it's working. Oh, that's a terrible fillet. Maybe 15. Okay, let's keep it for the moment. I don't really like that this one is split. Oh, with G2 it even breaks. Let's say 14. Okay, 14 works. Good. Oh, nope, not that one. I would like this one to be 14. And let's give it a moment. Ah, perfect. So, nice. So you see this way we have those sharp edges just filleted, and then in a second path, or pass, not path, I can actually fillet those other edges, those. And this one with G2, not G1, maybe 2 millimeters of a distance. Or 3, let's see what we can do. And, whoa. Yeah, that's really not a good result because the amount of fillet segments, it's kind of crazy. Let's see if maybe with a smaller radius it changes it. It does not. Does maybe turning G2 off simplify it? It does, and then we don't really have nice fillets. Yeah, okay. Just not to make the model not too heavy, I just keep it this way. I can still later, when we're done, switch it to G2, and then we are good. But I'd rather keep it as a clean mesh, as you can see. Okay, so next step, shelling the whole object. So I click the body, and then tell it a 2mm offset into the center. And okay. And then we can do the split body, this one along this plane. Okay. Oh, no intersection. Oh, maybe I used the wrong plane. Okay, let's do it again. Split body. Oh. There. And the plane. Oh. Sometimes if you can't click it, simply hover over the correct one, click it there. Well, click OK. And there we are. Now that's a completely fully parametric model. We created everything out of sketches, reverse engineered some of the proportion, and yeah, now we can go ahead and fine tune everything. Just put in the sketch for the webs, etc., put the blades in, do all the solid manipulation, and then we can send it to the 3D printer.